Hey everybody, the world's best streamer is here again. Um, Yesterday was better, much better, so maybe I can actually live up to that someday. Not that I aspire to that. Already see people rolling into chat. It's great to see some familiar names. I'm getting a regular crew showing up to follow me. Hopefully the audio is better today. I did some mic boost. There were a lot of complaints yesterday about the volume level, but who knows? Maybe it's better, maybe it's not. Moki wants to know about race car days. Uh, yeah, I could tell some stories about that. But first, while we wait for folks to roll in, let's start looking at where we are on the project because I was bad, and last night I put my pajamas on and kept working. And, you know, in typical fashion, the my pajamas are ratty old things that I can't be possibly seen in public wearing. And don't judge me because I know you all do it. But I did a bunch of the kind of boring cut and paste stuff to add multiplayer. John's wondering if the pop quizzes are going to be happening and if there's prizes. So the prize is just your sense of accomplishment for guessing it correctly, I guess. But I got some good stuff here. I'm going to pull a couple things out. Some are probably going to be easy for you. Some of them are going to be a little bit more obscure. But we'll go over what we did yesterday and what I did off camera, and then we'll do our first pop quiz. Pop quiz. All right. So, if you watched yesterday's stream, we got two of the ships, which were called blasters, instantiated into the scene. So these little guys right here, and we got them following the tip of the wand, so a ray cast down to the floor plane, and that collision point is where the ship moves. And then we started running into all kinds of problems at that point because all the scoring was split across multiple game objects. So all the scoring for like the flea. So this is the flea, the mushrooms, all of them had their own dedicated scripts for scoring. And there was no concept of player one and player two. So player one was getting all of the scores. So off camera I had to go modify what is called the game manager to have a concept of two players. And then I went to the UI canvas and started duplicating all the things that we needed. So now at the top of our canvas, we have a score, number of lives for player one. This is your high score, which is kind of cool. I didn't realize until pretty late that this actually uses user prefs to store off the current highest score. And then so I duplicated player two in the canvas and duplicate player two icons. And then I found that there was a UI manager script. It wasn't coming directly from the game manager script. So I had to modify this to have the UI manager script to have a concept of two players. So everything had to get duplicated here. And so that was all pretty fun. Let me show you some of the scripts, the things that I did. So we'll start with game manager. Sorry, I got to do a little adjustment here because I can't see my big screen. Okay. And I have a super secret thing that I'm going to show you, the Sprite Extruder. but where is it? Game Manager. So one of the first things I did to Game Manager is put a bool into it for 2-player. And so this was pretty important so that I could distinguish between a 1-player and a 2-player game. I was hoping to make it 4-player, but after doing all this cutting and pasting for player 2, I don't want to go through the work for 3 and 4. This is always a challenge when converting a single-player game to multiplayer. You know, it's been architected to only have a concept of 1 player. And so I've been through this a couple times. I helped out in our labs page on the Go Monster Go, which started off 1 player. And it was pretty easy to hack in up to 4 players really quick. But then when it came time to actually score all 4 players and manage all 4 players, one of our engineers spent a lot of time like replumbing everything. Hi Ian, good to see you. I'm glad you could catch us live, so you can see me flail about in real time. Anyway, I made this bool for 2-player, and 2-player is really pretty straightforward to set, and this is something that you could do in your own Tilt 5 game. So there it is. When a new game is started, what I do is I look for Tilt 5 wand, check if connected. So I look for player 2's wand, see if it's connected. And if it's connected, then I set 2-player to true. And then all the logic through the rest of the game manager switches over to 2-player mode. So this leaves out some optionality for players 3 or headsets 2, 3, and 4 to be connected to spectate, and if your wand isn't turned on, then you won't play. Maybe not the most elegant way to choose player 1 or 2. Then it was just a lot of cutting and pasting. The blaster, which is a little ship, I had to duplicate everything for blaster to be blaster and blaster player 2. There was a bunch of stuff in the script where it was actually finding things by name, so I had to go and make them public variables, like blaster player 2, blaster 1. The dart, which is the bullet, I had to duplicate that. And then as I cruised down through here, I just found every instance that was a single player instance and then doubled it up. And then when appropriate, like under new game, it spawns the player into the scene. But if the 2-player bool is set, then it spawns the second player in. There were a bunch of quirks that I found in here too. So once I got spawning, depending on the number of players in, there were a lot of areas where things like spawning the fleas was only spawning the fleas if player 1 was active, so I had to go through and change a bunch of this logic in here to be if player 1 or player 2 is enabled, then spawn fleas. Actually, I found some bugs in the code too, which was kind of fun. So some of the scoring was broken. In fact, the spider, if you've played Centipede before, when the spider is going up and down, if you can shoot it really close to yourself, you can get between 300 and 900 points, and they were actually scoring only 300 or 600 points for kind of the mid-range. So a lot of that. End game was kind of interesting. It took me a while to figure out end game. So I had to, each time you die, it reheals the mushrooms, and then it gives scores for each of those mushrooms that are healed to the player. So that's a compromise I had to make in the scoring, where both players get scored for repairing the mushrooms. Hi, Pinto. Then I went to all the prefabs. I'll just briefly go through some of this stuff. So, like the spider has a script on it, and this script hello. Oh, line feed stuff. So the spider was, this is the one actually that had the bug. So there's just a typo here. The increased score, these two were flipped. So 600 was at the close distance and 900 was at the far distance. Even though it did on the screen report that it was giving you 900 points, it actually wasn't. So I had to duplicate a bunch of things. So spider shot is like when you shoot the spider with the dart. And I had to do spider shot by player 2 and then change who gets the points. And then in each one of these there's a function for collision. And so what I ended up doing is I set up some different layer masks. So you can set up layer masks on game objects. So I had to add a player 2 and then I had to add a dart 2. That way when player 2 bullet hits like a mushroom or the spider, it can know where to score the points. And so that's just what's happening here. So if player 1 hits, the layer that the dart is on is called just dart, and then layer for player 2 is dart 2. And then I just duplicated a lot of functions. So there's a spider shot player 2, and then it just calls back into the game manager. Oh, Craig is going to go on 20-meter handband tonight. I hear the propagation's been pretty good lately, so that's going to be fun. All right. Sorry I'm boring you all. This is all pretty deep stuff. But the last thing I want to show you, then I'm going to demonstrate the game, and then it's quiz time, is a little piece of kind of bedazzling I've added to the game. And this is what I want to work on to just kind of wrap the game up. I want to add some special effects, fix some of the sounds, maybe have some ambiance, like kind of things below the game board to give it some kind of depth and some dynamic visuals. I don't know what that's going to be yet, but I think there's some opportunity for us. And maybe, depending on how motivated we are, we were talking about doing a jump. I think jump might be possible too, where we can jump your blaster ship in the air to add, kind of that 3D effect to things. Ian asks, is it possible to present different points of view of the game world to different users? I mean, change the first-person viewport to each character. That's a great question. I covered that in the one of the zombie game streams, but I can show you really quickly. It's very, very easy. So since this is just a static game, and the assumption is all users are going to be looking at it from the same angle, when you go to the Til5 Prefab, it defaults with one game board. And so this is the game board here. I'm just kind of changing the intensity of it right here. You can see the T5 logo. So everything's lined up on the board. So if you have the logo facing you, game over would be facing correct. Hi Heath, good to see you. But what you can do, which is really cool, so say if you have a character that's running through the scene, you can do a follow script that drags the game board along with the character. And then if you have multiple characters and you want to give them a different scene, you can just duplicate the game board over and over again for each character. And then in the Til5 Manager, you can assign which player has what game board. So across here are players 1 through 4 right now. If I click 2, I can go to game board, and right now it's linked to player 1's game board, but we can break that link and then we can assign it to player 2's game board. Now you can have these game boards move off in the world anywhere, and each person gets their own view. And another cool thing that you can do is you can set up visibility layers between each of the players. So on this culling mask, you can put different things on different layers. For like the case of this, we could, if we wanted to, take player 1's score and put it on a layer and only present it to player 1, and then put player 2's score on their own layer and assign those separately between the players. Or more advanced things that you can do is, like if you're doing an RTS or something, you might have a fog of war or private information. You can set up these different layers, and then, you know, as each player is doing their own thing with their own view, you can change the visibility back and forth, so that, you know, when the battle begins, now you can see where all of the battleships were placed or something. Ian says, yeah, that's exactly what he was asking. Yeah, our team's really amazing when it comes to making really simple tools. So if you get in here and start playing with this, you'll see that we've tried to make everything as like drag and drop and, you know, kind of click the button as possible. Should be an entire video on its own of all the little shortcut things that we've done. Okay, so I'm really excited to show you all what I did. So I used ChatGPT again to create some code. What I asked it to do is take the flat sprites and extrude them for the mushrooms. And so what this script does, and it looks really cool, if we edit this script, it's called Sprite Extruder. It goes and finds the texture of the sprite that the script is sitting on, then it creates voxels and extrudes it to some user-defined heights, and it picks the color from the pixel that it's pulling and turning into a sprite, into a voxel. And yeah, ChatGPT did a good job of getting the extrusion going. And then I did a small modification to this so that every time the sprite is changed, it destroys all the voxels and recreates them with a new shape. So like when you hit a mushroom, it starts chipping away at the bottom until the mushroom is gone. And so the initial problem I had with what ChatGPT came up with is it made the voxels, but as I chipped away the sprite, the voxels remained. So all I had to do is, it had this function called create voxels. I added a, destroy, all the voxels, basically destroy the extrusion parent. And then I went to the mushroom controller script, and everywhere it changed the mushrooms, like either changed its color or chipped a piece of it away, changed a different sprite, I called into, here's one, Sprite Extruder create voxels. So it would just nuke the old voxels, create the new ones. And I think today what we can use, we could build off of this. So maybe when create voxels happens, we can also like spit out some particles, or we have those voxels fly out and have kind of a lifetime, and then they explode away. Hi Tyrone, good to see you. So without further ado, let me show you, and then we'll move into pop quiz time. So I got to plug in a couple glasses here. Actually, maybe just one pair of glasses. I don't necessarily need to. Well, yeah, I'm going to do both. I know someone already screen captured me wearing two pairs of glasses at once, so. All right, let's see here. Plug in another pair of glasses. I'm gonna show you the gameplay. So we had problems yesterday. Someone pointed out that Mixcast is flipping the image, so everything's kind of reverse text for you guys. I'm not quite sure why that is. I spent all of like 1 minute trying to take a look at that and see what was going on, and I'm like, whatever, doesn't matter. So yeah, you're gonna see like text reversed. It's not a big deal. I'm sure there's some kind of, you know, mirror image checkbox I just didn't see. Okay, let's go here. Let's get me out of the way. Is this game actually running? Did I break it? Where's Mixcast? Oh yeah, Railbirds. I did find the 1080p button in OBS. Oh, there we go, there we go. So I'm controlling both characters right now. But you can see the mushrooms are, oh my gosh, this is difficult to play. Dual wielding ships. If I kill one, oh. If one of the players dies, the other one remains in play until that player dies. Ron says that sound, nostalgia. For sure. I do notice that running OBS on the same machine at 1080p does hit the performance of everything. You know, we're really brutalizing this little laptop. So I've got OBS running, multiple headsets, everything's running in the editor, and now I made, you know, the application voxel based. It said 1 frame per minute. Was it not rendering right for you guys? I noticed that it was a little slow for me. Oh no, it looks okay. Okay. I don't know, maybe is my live stream a little laggy or low frame rate because I'm trying to do too much? I probably should just move everything out over HDMI to another laptop to do the encoding. All right, it's quiz time. I'm going to start with something a little easier. So get your typing fingers ready. I'm going to first look at it and make sure there's no identifying labels. I don't see anything. Oh, okay. So the chat's saying that it looked a little bit better with the small Mixcast. Maybe it's just too much load having like full screen Mixcast. So I'll try to limit that unless it really needs to be. All right, everyone, here we go. What is this? Any guesses? You have to be of a certain age to probably recognize this thing. Pop quiz. I'm just waiting for the first person to say red stapler. So, card punch? No. Hole punch? No. Where's my red stapler? Up. Yep. Etheron got it. A notch maker for 5.25 inch disc. Disc notcher. Make double-sided. Right enabler notcher. Yep. Floppy disk notcher. A lot of people got this one. I'm not surprised. I was actually kind of surprised. I was looking at one of my workbenches upstairs and I saw this sitting there because I had fired up a Commodore 64 a couple months ago and I needed to notch some discs. Okay. Not surprised you guys picked that up really fast. I've got another 3 or 4 things that we can take a look at for pop quiz time, but we got to get some work done here. So I think what I want to do next is try to tackle kind of a voxel explosion each time you hit a mushroom. Gadgets UK says it's rare to find these notchers around. I believe that. I think I've got one of these that the little plunger on top is like mostly broken off. Okay. So I think maybe what we can do is we go back to the Sprite Extruder that's taking the texture and extruding the voxels. And right here where I added this destroy extrusion parent, this is where I can make this a function. I can make this a function. We do, actually I won't make that a function, but no, wait, now I'm having a second thought. Do I want the voxels to be shooting out when I first spawn? That's a big question. I'm going to start that way. So I think I'm going to make a function private void voxel explosion. I think I want to have a prefab for this because I want to make a prefab that has a script attached to it, so it has a bit of a lifetime to it, so it'll fly away, but then it'll destroy itself over some time. Reverse Fulfillment says, my 90-year-old dad was a tool maker machinist and made those floppy cutters. Wonder if he still has them around. Did he make like boutique ones, or did he make like this type where plastic injection molded? Or did he make billet ones? Or I'm very curious. Gadgets UK says that's the first one they've seen in 25 years. Yeah, definitely you need to be around in the 80s at least, I would imagine, to know one of those things. Ian asks, what's the capacity of a Commodore PET floppy? I don't remember. He's guessing 180K, but for some reason 160 sticks in my mind for Commodore. The good question would be, how many blocks? I saw that a million times when formatting floppies, and now I can't remember how many blocks free after you format. Okay, so I'm going to add a prefab, a public game object, because I want to build this externally, and then we can come up with our own. You know, it could have a rigid body. It could have. We can do a bunch of different things, kind of like pre-made on it. Reverse Fulfillment said they were all metal. This is his father's disc punchers with a corkscrew style device. Totally overbuilt. He's German. Oh, I love it. If you find out your father has a big stash of those, I'd like to buy one. What should I call this prefab? Naming. It's always a regretful thing in the future. I'm just going to call it voxel particle. Now the question is, I think this would be a good one for ChatGPT, because I don't remember all the syntax to add force to a rigid body in a random direction. So this will be fun to see if ChatGPT can do this. So I cleared up my ChatGPT. I got it kind of off, hallucinating and going in weird directions, doing the extruder, and I just noticed that it was getting less and less clean as it was creating the code. It wasn't putting as many comments. So Johnny Speed said, it was funny that floppies were inherently dual-sided and they manufactured a blocked side to market cheaper single-sided ones. It's true. It's not as bad as the stuff they're doing now, like car seats that have heaters built into them, but you have to subscribe to it once, every month. So today we're doing a little adult programming with adult beverages. So I'm having a tiki rum Mai Tai. So it might get exciting towards the end. Oh, that was strong. All right. Let's see. Generate a script of function that spawns a user definable number of user definable prefabs at the transform location. So I want something external in the editor that I can say, like, spawn 20 particles, and it needs to be at the location where the mushroom is, so where the script is attached. At the location of the game object with this script. Apply a user definable force to each prefab's rigid body. I think I want to say rigid body so it doesn't try to invent. Uh, Ian says, yes, software has always been a con. Agreed. Definable, user definable force. I always say user definable. I found that's a good way to get ChatGPT to always put something as a public variable. FX Nodes is asking if it would be a sin to... Wait, where'd it go? Lost it. Oh, something about a SID. I missed it. Apply user-definable force to each prefab's rigid body in a random direction. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to give it a little hint of what I want it to be called. Let's see if it can figure this out. Oh, oopsie. I hit enter instead of Control V. Certainly, it says, to create a function named Voxel Explosion that spawns user-defined number of prefabs at a current game object's transform location, applies a user-definable force to each prefab's rigid body in a random direction. You can do something like this. So let's take a look and see. Voxel prefab, number of voxels, force magnitude. When it starts, it does Voxel Explosion. We're not going to do that. Voxel Explosion. So it's going to loop through the number of voxels. Unreal Video Duke. Haven't seen Tilt 5 at Best Buy. Nope, we're not quite that big. To take the leap from direct sales to Best Buy takes a lot of capital, because once you do retail, you're putting tens or hundreds of millions of dollars worth of products, into warehouses that, you might get an instant return on, or you may not, but it's very, very risky. So we're very happy with direct sales right now, but eventually, we'll be in stores. Ian says, the problem is that software that makes you want to throw away your hardware. That really upsets me. Me too. It's funny. I was really upset at test and measurement companies that just went down this path of being draconian about putting all the hardware into these devices like oscilloscopes and then charging you thousands of dollars just to run them at full speed or turn a port on. And the software difference. It's not like, I can understand a few things like an oscilloscope that has some digital inputs that can decode complicated protocols like USB or something like that. That makes sense, because they invested a lot of work into making a USB protocol analyzer. But if the front end of your oscilloscope has an analog to digital converter that can read up to so many gigasamples, per second, it's not like they had to invent a bunch of software to go 100 megahertz versus a gigahertz on that front end. It's just a number somewhere sitting in a piece of firmware. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox for a bit. It's kind of like a nerd sniped you all. Now you can complain about it in chat. Let's keep looking at this and see. So we're looping through, and then game object we spawn, we instantiate a voxel prefab, transform position, quaternion identity. Oh, it's doing a rigid body 3D. Why is it doing 2D. The rigid body is 3D, not 2D. Unreal Video Duke says, what universities have you worked with on Tilt 5? A bunch. University of Texas has some of them. They're doing some kind of medical thing. UC Santa Cruz is using it in some of their game dev. Just tons and tons of units have been going out to universities. I can't even keep track. A bunch overseas. That's tasty. All right, let's take a look at this. Okay, it's getting the rigid body. It's nice. It's doing some null checking. Oh, this is interesting. Again, I like using ChatGPT because I learned something. So it's doing a random direction, random.inside unit sphere. Oh, that's kind of cool. So I assume that it just picks a vector within a spherical direction, and then it adds force and the random direction, and the mode is like just an impulse, so it just gives it a little. Johnny Speed said, Apple is genius in giving their computers to schools. Yeah. I think the advantage Apple has over where we are right now is the Apple II was incredibly expensive and just used just standard TTL parts. So they could fund just sprinkling these things out. It just didn't hurt them at all. We're living in a different world these days where people expect like the system to cost $300, right? So we wouldn't get very far with this product if it was like an equivalent 1970s dollars. Like those machines back then were just crazy expensive. I mean, Apple still does it today. I admire their ability to charge 3x what anybody else does. FX Node says, is this the fancy GPT? Yeah, this is ChatGPT. Okay, I think that might work. Let's give it a shot. So I'm gonna cut pieces of this over. I find ChatGPT better than search engine for doing stuff like this. Let's see, and then I'll copy Voxel Explosion. I keep thinking Rockafire Explosion, the old Chuck E. Cheese robots, when I say Voxel Explosion. Oh, I'm sorry to hear, Ulf, that Swedish krona is weak compared to the US dollar. Well, the Tilt 5 is cheaper when you buy more, if you get a group pack, but it doesn't help with all of the VAT and taxes. It's really painful. I get to see some of the reports of certain countries and overseas, how much import duty and tax gets applied. I mean, it could be as much as like 20% of the cost, which is really a bummer. We do direct injection into Europe, which saves a little bit of money, but still there's just kind of like that local, I think it's VAT is what really eats people alive over there. Maybe you can take a trip to the United States and smuggle one back with you. Make a vacation out of it, save that $100 and put it towards a trip. Okay, sorry, I got distracted. We're putting a Voxel Explosion in here. And this is not going to do what I want it to do exactly, because when it spawns, it's going to be spewing out voxels everywhere. Johnny Speed says maybe a web seminar for teaching for teachers showing applications for Tilt 5 in school and universities. There are a bunch of companies that are using our system to make curriculum for schools, so you're going to start seeing that. There's, I don't know the name of the company, but I just saw the video in our all hands meeting. They just did this promo video showing all kinds of little labs that you could do with kind of like probably junior high to high school kids. So one of the things I saw was like molecules, and then they had a biology unit where it was like kind of dissecting things, like pulling parts out of, you know, human bodies and frogs and stuff. And then they had one where you were actually building a drone. That looked kind of cool. Like you put all the pieces together to, like Legos, put a drone together on the table. Education is kind of my passion. It's a little unfortunate that investors in Silicon Valley don't appreciate it as much. You know, when we bring up that we're getting traction in education, kind of goes over flat with, you know, the money men. Okay. I mean, if I was heading your direction, I'd try to smuggle a unit in for you. My next trip is going to be to Japan, Taiwan, and Korea. No Europe. I missed Gamescom this year. Voxel Explosion. Okay. Now we got to go back to the Unity editor. So now it's in the editor, the script is looking for a prefab. So we'll just make a quick and dirty prefab, and then we can maybe add random colors to it or something from under script control. I'm going to start with a cube. The cube was hidden behind the canvas. So we're going to make it smaller. Turn some of those. I guess. Well, since the mushrooms are kind of taller, I think they need to be kind of like tall slivers. Yeah, like that. Okay. Let's call this voxel particle. Okay. I think we'll do without the collider right now, because funny things happen like when you have the colliders on, especially right now. I think it's gonna spawn right inside of other things that have colliders, which can just sometimes impart like huge amounts of like velocity to them. Unreal Video Duke says make it Tilt 5 logos. Yeah, considering we don't have a license to Centipede and I can never give this to anybody, I probably should avoid that. I'm going to add a rigid body to this. And it's set up to use gravity, so this thing's going to start... No, let's not use gravity. Let's just let it float. We'll see what that looks like. I kind of think that gravity might be good because it'll, like, when the particles that spawn that go up, they're going to kind of cascade back down. Oh, Johnny Speed says this could be for good in schools for recreational stuff as well. Yeah, I agree. Most of what I did in the computer lab was play games and write, basic programs. All of the educational stuff was, for me, was really weak sauce. It wasn't very interesting. And I think that was most the case for, like, the more talented and gifted students. Oh, Jeffrey says it'd be interesting to see something resembling Pole Position or Spy Hunter. I love both those games. That'd be fun. We have to get on GitHub and see if someone's made an accurate representation of one of those and save a bunch of time. Of course, maybe we should do something that's a little bit more original, like the voxel zombie thing that I can actually share. All right, let's go to prefabs. To make a prefab in Unity, you can build it inside the scene, and then you can just drag it in, and now it becomes a prefab. Who knows? This might work, it may not. Let's go back to our mushroom. Go to the script that we just modified for the voxel prefab. Put our voxel particle in there. So it's going to produce 10 voxels at a force magnitude of 10. I have no clue. I mean, these things may shoot off screen instantaneously, for all I know. And I think when I hit play, we're going to see voxels shooting everywhere because it's... Well, will it? Let me look at the code one more time. If the extrusion... It may not. I might get lucky. So I have this null check. So if we haven't made the voxel extrusion yet, it doesn't try to destroy the parent under which all of the voxels. So the first time we start, we shouldn't see voxel explosion happening. So this may just work out perfectly. So she says. Gadgets UK says, what you need is a port of MAME that has a way to customize each game to do fun things with layers, sprites, stuff that look cool. So many years ago, we took the, what's the Amiga emulator? I forget. We ported that in, and we just used the brightness level to do an extrusion, and it looked really cool. Not particularly, useful in any way, except for you had a giant Amiga on the table, and when you played games like Lemmings, the Lemmings kind of looked 3D because they had different intensities of pixels. A nice little gimmick. All right, let's just hit play and see what happens. WinUAE is the emulator. Thanks, Gadgets UK. I knew it was Win something, then I started to doubt myself. There we go. Well, I think I was a little wrong. I gotta look at this through the glasses. Oh, are these not plugged in? Oh, I can't do it while I'm in. I have to be in. Well, that's kind of cool. Like, except for they are. They're way too big and way too tall. That was kind of a mistake on my part, thinking they needed to be tall slivers. They need to be way smaller, and I think they need gravity. I still don't understand why they spawn so many voxels. Maybe there's some functions in the mushroom script that they spawn them and then they change colors. And so when it changes colors, I have to update the I have to update the voxels. That must be it. So let's turn gravity on. I think it'd be kind of cool if these things will shoot up and then drop into the table. That was a little overwhelming, having that many voxels flying everywhere. Oh. The gravity vector is towards me, not down. I wonder where you set that. That must be in the control under the project settings. Let me know when you want to do another pop quiz. Here it is. So we want it in the Y. Wait. We want it in the Z axis. Thanks, Okimo. Oh, here's something that I had to do. Under Physics 2D, when I added the extra darts, and for the longest time I didn't understand how you set up collision layers, but I had, it was all set up for the dart, the little bullets. And when I added Dart 2, it was colliding with everything. So it was doing really weird things like colliding with its own ship. JM says it's difficult to read even in 1080p. So here, I'm going to try. How about I do this? Maybe if I just change the display settings. Just make everything bigger. That's what I did at work. Who knows? This may just crash the whole stream. I don't know how OBS. Oh, now we did it. Now it's doing a weird wrapping thing in OBS. There we go. Let me know if you can read things better now. Paulo says in Brazil, tax is almost 92%. I heard that. It's very difficult to get consumer electronics into Brazil. I heard that they still, for many years, companies like Sega would build game consoles or had authorized builders of game consoles there. So some of the game consoles that went into life other places in the world were still being used, which I think is so cool. FX Node, if I wanted I don't know, a tilt 5, what, if I wanted a tilt 5 wall, could that happen? Oh, a tilt 5 wall. Yes, so inside of our control panel, there's kind of a little, it's buried because it's not our typical use case, but there's a place where you can set the transform of the game board so that it's the glasses know that the game board gravity is now running down alongside the game board instead of straight through the game board. So you have to set that transform in there, and then you can do a wall tilt 5. There's folks not doing other applications like LBE applications that are using that. Much better. Okay, everyone thinks it looks better. That's great. Okay, so we got gravity going in the right direction, but I think the force is still... Actually, is that the case? Did we actually see that? Maybe not. Maybe I got distracted. Yeah, here's the only challenge, is Unity doesn't let me shrink some of this stuff down. Wait, is that flying towards my face? Yes. So I need to go change that and change gravity to be positive direction. Oh, 2D physics. Oh, that's pretty cool. Ugh. Freaking spiders. Either I think I need to, and it's too vigorous, those things flying everywhere. It's a nice effect, and I think once we randomly assign a color to these things that are out of the palette of the actual sprite, it'll look nice. But they just shoot out too far, so I've got to get in there and reduce the imparted force on the rigid body. Let's have it. Yay, that looks better. Probably could do with a little bit less voxels, kind of unnecessary. So I'm going back to the voxel particle prefab. I want to look at the mesh renderer, the material. Everyone's having like a discussion in chat right now about doing like extreme tilt 5 systems with like big wall reflectors and stuff. I don't think I can set the color of this unless I make a new material. Make a new folder. Materials. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the default material, you can't access the shader to change the color or change the material color. New. FX Node asked if we have a multiplayer Unity sample project for 2 players that can be downloaded. Yes. When you install the SDK, there's some examples in there, and then I think that we have like a little brawler game. I think all that is up on the labs page. There's a lot of examples of like pre-built things. But yeah, you can, I think we even have blog posts on it too on our website. Okay, we'll use the standard shader. We'll call this the voxel particle. I don't know what color to start with. Mushrooms were green by default? I don't remember. Okay. I think what I'm going to do is see if my buddy ChatGPT can access the materials and change the color. And they were bright green. So I go to the particle. Now we have access to the standard shader down here, or ChatGPT will have access to the standard shader by making a new material. I'm not really good with like materials and things like that. I think the challenge is, though, it's going to change the color. Oh yeah, Hypo, that's right. Dilmer did a wonderful video recently. If you want to learn how to do multiplayer. All right, I think it's time to do another pop quiz. I'm going to grab something medium difficulty, I think. You all ready for this? I have to cover up a couple things on it so you can't see. All right. What is this thing? It has a handy little pocket clip. A BNC connector on it. Everyone like, let's go! Keep things covered up. You can open it up here on the bottom. First guess is laser. It's not a laser. Put batteries in it. BNC terminator tester. Nope. Sonic screwdriver. That's a great guess. This is pretty obscure. Nope, it's not for testing cables. Not a vape. Not a tin-based connector. If people can't figure it out, I'll start giving you some clues. I'll let you see. I'll let you see the company. Okay, it seems like everyone's winding down on their guesses, so here we go. Let's see if you can see that. See who that was made by? Nope, not an RF attenuator, not a transmitter, not a lightsaber. Made by NewTek. Not a spectrometer. Pen to detect invisible ink. That would be fun. I'll give you another clue. This would be not 50 ohms. This would be 75 ohms. You know, most things that are hooked up to BNC are 50 ohms. Made by NewTek. Not a camera. Not a tracing tool. Not a time-based corrector. Not a thermometer. Ooh, I stumped you guys. This is great. I used to work at NewTek. I wouldn't say that this was their most popular. Yes, it is 75 ohms. That's a clue. It's a clue what it's for. It's not a mic. Tom thinks I'm a Time Lord. That would be fun. All that whole reincarnation thing. Wolf says, sounds like something for TV and video. You're close. FX Nose says, signal blackburst. You guys are getting closer. You're getting closer. It's not a TV tester per se, but you would see these things coming out of TV testers. Digital Underground. I don't know what ohms are. It's what you do when you meditate, right? Ohm. Iron Face says a test pattern generator. So I'm going to give it to Iron Face, or it was called the Calibar. It's a calibration tool for video sources. So video is 75 ohms. It has various test patterns in it, a highly accurate signal generator. And what's interesting about this, I actually got this years before I started working for NewTek, and something happened to it because it has a little plug in the side. You can actually charge it. You can run it from a, not charge it, you could run it from a little external wall wart, or you could put one of those goofy, I think they're 12-volt batteries. They're a little shorter than a AA. Anyway, this thing stopped working. Got my job at NewTek, and I'm like, oh, I loved my Calibar, but it stopped working. And they're like, oh, we lifetime warranty everything. We still fix calibars. We fix video toasters if someone reaches out to us, or at least they did at the time. This is 2009 or something. Railbird says, you worked at NewTek? Question. Our company worked with NewTek, met Andrew Cross. I know Andrew. The rest of the crew several times. Of course, Andrew has since moved on. Never met Tim Jennison. Yeah, my little office was right next to Tim Jennison. He's such an interesting guy. Like, he's a super genius. And I always felt really insecure around Tim because he was so smart. Recently, he just did a documentary, like an obsession, called Tim's Vermeer. And I was there at the time when he started working on that. So NewTek had all of these warehouses around town. And he took one of the warehouses and started replicating this Vermeer painting and proved that it was done with mirrors and some kind of apparatus, and not, Vermeer wasn't an amazing, painter necessarily. And but anyway, Tim, I'd walk in and like, how you doing today, Tim? I walk in his office and he'd be, chatty. But as soon as he was like done talking to you, he would just stop responding. He would just turn around and just start working on his computer. Really super nice guy, but interesting personality that way. Oh, Railbird saw that documentary. Yeah, that was really cool. I had no clue exactly what Tim was doing, because occasionally Tim would, like, hey, do you want to go look at, this wacky thing that I'm doing in one of the warehouses? And, one time we went over to look at his home improvement store drone that he was building. So he was building an autonomous drone out of everything you can get at like a Home Depot or a Lowe's. And in the same building, or one of the buildings we went to, there was like this replica of like a room just kind of like built in the middle of this warehouse. It was very weird. So highly recommend it if you're interested in that kind of thing. It was definitely a passion for him. He, I don't know how many years, like I was there maybe 2009, and I think it came out 2020 or something, or 2019. All right, where were we? All right, we were going to get some colors onto the voxels. But I want to look at, so the script that generates, extrudes the voxels, somehow it's getting the color. I'm wondering if somehow we can hijack the colors that it already is captured. So I'm looking through the code. So it's making an array called color. I wonder if we can just hijack that. I'm going to make this public so we can access it from the other function. Yeah, so it's going through and it's getting the colors from all the locations inside the original sprite that it's extruding. So now, moving this out here, I should fix the error, and I should be able to access color. Unreal Video Duke said, where do you get the microcontrollers from Home Depot? Yeah, I'm sure he did other things. Yes, I probably can't repeat some of the stories about his drone stuff, but they were very fascinating. One thing he was doing is all the construction was just stuff you could get right from Home Depot, and these things flew. And this was really early on. I mean, not a lot of autonomous stuff going on at the time. Outside of military, probably. I mean, I don't even think, you know, and these weren't like propeller quadcopter drones. These were flying airplane drones using weed whacker motors. Let's go back to ChatGPT and tell it we have this variable. Okay. We have a list of colors stored in an array called pick a random color from the array and apply the color to the, what is it calling? I want to call it the right thing. Voxel Prefab when instantiated. Digital Underground, what are you using to output video in C#? I'm not quite sure what that question is. So in Unity, C# is the scripting language that runs the game engine. Underneath, I'm sure it's full of lots of C code that's, you know, doing the heavy lifting. Certainly, you can add a color pixel array and then pick a random color from this array when it instantiates each voxel prefab. After selecting color, you can then apply it to the prefab materials. Here's an updated piece of the code. Okay. There it is. We're ignoring start, Voxel Explosion. Check if there are any colors in the pixel array. Okay. So it's just going to bail out early if the array is empty, which I think is fine. Instantiate the prefab. Select a random color from the pixel array down here. So all of this up here look the same. So random color, pixels random range to pixels length. If renderer is not equal to null, renderer material color random color. Kind of seems like it would work. So I think I can just cut and paste all of this here. And replace all of this. Ooh, I'm feeling that drink. I'm feeling really good. I might get sillier. Anyone in chat working on a cool project? Everyone learning Godot? Where did my magic wand go? Or Unreal? Oh, they definitely had different colors on them. Oops. Ah, yes, it is. It's pulling random colors. That looks great. Get away from me, spider. I probably played this. Oh, sorry about hitting the mic. I probably played this for 40 minutes last night. It's super fun. Digital Underground is working on a C project. Straight up C. Cool. Mike is doing Godot. Okimo, I was working on cool stuff. Now I'm learning Godot and Unreal. Okimo, are you switching away from Unity? Brittany is making a neural network from scratch for work in C, so I can experiment with new algorithms developing on low level. Wow, that's pretty cool. Ironface is making an ATX C64. That sounds fun. Like an entire circuit board, or are you going to just mount it into an original C64 into an ATX case? Digital Underground, are those for sale yet? Are you talking about Till 5? They are for sale. You can get them. So go buy them. It keeps food and Mai Tais. Keeps me in food and Mai Tais, and also keeps a bunch of employees working, building really cool stuff. Okay, so I'm very pleased with that. It's kind of a nice little addition. I wonder if there's anything in all of these assets I bought. Let me look through my asset packs. I'm thinking now we have some effects when you're like blowing stuff up. Like, I wonder if there's something I can put under the game board to make it a little more dynamic. Brittany says, if it results in cats getting fed, I'll have to buy my nephews a Till 5 for Christmas. Well, it's a good time to show you my favorite kitty. Come here, Nikki. What's up? Come here, Nikki. I'm still screaming. Come here, Nikki. Yes, this is Nikola Tesla, and as you can see, he's getting really skinny. So, yeah, Till 5 also gets the kitty kibble for little Nicky. He's just a little sweet boy. He's so sweet. You could just do anything to him. Here, purr for the... Don't eat the mic. There we go. Now I browbeat you into getting a Tilt 5 pack, group pack. All right, let's go to the assets. No, wrong one. Let's go look at assets that I purchased. See if we can find something that might spice this project up a little bit. I've already shared this with folks in the company, and they thought it was pretty fun. So we'll probably play it on our happy hours. I don't know if a solar system makes sense. Oh, here's the zombie asset pack that I used. Oh, everyone's saying hi, Nicola. Brittany says he looks just like my Polly, who's also trying to be less of a blob. Yeah, Nikki, I had to cut Nikki off. He doesn't have any self-control like me, so he comes by it naturally. Johnny Speed, do it for Tesla. Nicola. Nicola. Oh, this could be kind of cool. I've got this audio visualizer. Hmm. Oh, maybe we can get a thumping soundtrack. Ooh, this could be kind of cool. Uh, Let me hit save on the project because this may explode everything. Oh, it's already saved. Let's download this. This could be kind of fun, kind of sunk in the board, just kind of doing some visual thing, and then maybe we can add a little soundtrack to it. Well, at least I'm just re-downloading something I already had, so I'm costing them a few pennies. I actually got this because I was doing a ham radio project because it had a bunch of FFT visualizers in it, and it actually, you can feed kind of the baseband audio into it, and you can see where different signals are based on their frequency offset from DC. Yeah, I like the asset store a lot. I mean, it's, yeah, real. Oh, what I closed the project. I'm an idiot. All right, well, we're waiting for Unity to reload because I was dumb. Here's another pop quiz, everybody. Pop quiz. This one I think you're going to get really quick. All right. What is this? What is this thing? You squeeze it and it kind of like bites. Oh. Got it. First shot. No chance for anyone else. IC extractor. Ulf got it. Oh yeah, everyone. A chip puller, PLCC extractor. Gadgets UK was technically a bit more accurate. So the square chips in a PLCC socket, there's two little kind of cavities that you can get these little pins down in there, and then when it hits the top of the chip and then pulls it up out. All right. The next one after this is very obscure, so Brittany says, God, Jerry's channel appeals to the nerds. Well, I'm just a nerd. That's the reality. So you're in good company. Okay. Let me make sure this still runs after importing this asset pack. Evil Cupra. Fat Agnes extractor. Am I the only one that used to take their Amiga 500 and just kind of drop it on the table to try to get the chips to sink back down in their sockets without having to open it up? I don't have Instagram. I don't use Facebook products, Unreal. I should be using more Mastodon and non-Twitter things, but I still haven't ripped myself free of Twitter completely, just because I haven't built up much Blue Sky or Mastodon following yet. Alright, let's look at what we can do in this audio visualizer and just see if we can cut and paste it into our game and do something kind of fun. Iron Face looks like they used to drop their Amiga. No, that one wasn't all that cool. That's interesting. Beat anticipation. Oh, this is weird. Is it lining up with the music? Huh. Yeah, I don't. That 2.5D one wasn't that interesting. I want something that it's like a swirling mass under the table to give some visual texture to the game. We were talking about what's his name from the guy that did Mule. Darn it, I can't remember his name. He did those Tempest 2000 that were just a psychedelic trip of light and. That'd be good to make a Guitar Hero with that one. Oh, whoa. That'd give me a seizure, I think. It's weird. It's most. Circles. Jeff Minter, that's right. City. A CGA seizure. Yeah. Okay. This would be something. I don't know if looking down at a city would be. disco ball. Alright, I have ball shape. That might be good. Now I want to do a SID emulator. Like these waveforms at the bottom would look great with all the channels. FX Node asks, another elephant in the room, VR chat. I have no problem with VR chat. I don't do it, but the real elephant in the room is Horizon Worlds. Oh, this is weird. It's mangling the mesh on that object. Rainbow. Oh my goodness. I'm tripping out. Where are you going? Is the camera following this thing? Oh, so weird. I guess that makes sense. They called it side scroller. Ooh, I think this might have been the one I was looking for, if it's not in screen space. This one might be cool. How do I get it to play something? Yeah, I think this is what drew me in. How does this actually work? How does the audio get in there? Audio sampler. So I think I wonder how bad I'm going to break it if I just try to cut these two things, bring them over to our project. Audio files on the right. Thanks, Gadget. Ian, have you ever thought of doing a Till 5 accounts package like the one in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? I don't quite understand. It's been a long time since I've watched or read that. Okay, let's go back here. Let's blindly blast this in here. Oh, it's like it knew where I wanted it to be. If it runs. All right, who has a camera? Is it dropping things onto the Tilt 5 camera? What? Ooh. Wow. That looks cool in Mixcast. But, or not Mixcast, it looks really cool in the glasses. But it's doing something weird with cameras. Sorry everyone, I'm quiet because I'm a little confused what's happening. So the Tilt 5 camera doesn't have all that UI junk on it. So here's the Tilt 5 preview camera. I don't see it in the glasses, which is good, but I don't want that there. Somebody has a camera attached to it, I think. It's hot today. Where are you, camera? That's Mixcast. Tilt 5 camera. Hey Audley, good to see you. Right now, I'm trying to debug why I'm getting some kind of UI overlay in the editor. Where is this coming from? I wonder if this is only an editor. I'm curious. Build and run it real quick. Okay. Is it time to do another pop quiz? No, it's there. Help, help, Unity experts. All right. This one is, I wonder if I can open this thing. Hold on one second. Let's see if I can cue this up so I can. This is super obscure. All right, I got it open. Okay, here we go. Start guessing. What is this? Okay, class. You're being tested. It's got some leads on it. It's a little orange thing. Can't show you the other side because it says exactly what it is. FX Node, you can run up to 4 headsets off of a laptop. The one I'm using here is doing all of this, plus it's doing Mixcast, and it's doing OBS, and it's about an $800 laptop. It does have a GeForce RTX in it. Unreal Video Duke says relay. Up. Ulf got it right away. A delay line. This is a delay line. So this does a video delay line. Uh-oh, we got another kitten coming. Here's a kitten. Oh, she's grumpy girl. This is Lady Tubbington. She adopted us during COVID, and she hates being held like a little baby, but she's really small and compact like a little baby. But she's very grumpy. Anyone know what the reference to Lady Tubbington is from? All right, back to the delay line. So these were used in video gear, and they have piezo transducers, and this is a substrate, and it uses acoustic waves to bounce the signal multiple times. So it takes a really circuitous path around this until it reaches another piezo pickup on the other side. So it transmits and launches from one side and then is received on the other side. So you could do stuff like an entire video scan line of delay acoustically, which is really cool. And you could modulate these things at frequencies for like video, like really high frequency. Yeah, FX Node, right? Yeah, no kitty purrs from Lady Tubbington. Okay, folks, how am I going to solve this? I don't like that overlay. I guess maybe we should start digging into the scripts and see if we can figure out where that UI is coming from. Is it debug? Ah! Yes, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And just get rid of debug. Bye bye debug. Now, is it still breaking Mixcast? Why is Mixcast not coming up? That's not good, but it seems to be breaking Mixcast. It looks really cool. All right. Ironface just got a new puppy and named her Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. That is a great name. Something is hosing Mixcast. Brittany says, what if a delay line solves every problem I've ever had? I wish I had a real-time delay line. It'd be nice to be able to go back in time and correct a few things. Can I get a 24-hour delay line? Oh, here's a question, speaking of nerdy, delaying things. Are you morally opposed to being transported in like a Star Trek transporter? Because technically, you're being killed on one side and revived on the other side. So it's not really you on the other side. So, thoughts? I'm going to turn both of these off. Is it possible that I just borked Mixcast? I think I just borked Mixcast probably because I was probably when I was killing off Unity on accident. Oh, Mixcast isn't even running for some reason. Maybe I accidentally shut off Mixcast. Ironface, I'll leave this world kicking and screaming just like I arrived, so no beaming me anywhere. Beta says, if I have to be experienced being killed, then no. There it is. I actually kind of love the, it actually pokes out of the surface a little bit. So I'm going to actually play the game a little bit and see what it's like, even though we don't have the kickin' music going yet. Oh. There we go. My wand was off. I gotta get fresh batteries for my wand. One moment, please. I don't think I've replaced these in about 3 months, and now it's flashing red that the batteries are low. Oop, there we go. Yeah, this is cool. These like streamers that are popping up above the mushrooms are kind of nice. Definitely adds a little bit of challenge, because now visually there's a lot of motion there. Yeah, I mean, 3 months. I only do like work with till 5 on the weekends here, so typically I'm working at doing stuff at work. So the batteries last, using them on a daily basis about a month for me. FX Node says, love that sound. Okay, why is the audio not playing? So it was play on awake. Play on awake. Let's take a look at this script. Oh, let me stop Unity. Am I the only one that's experienced if you edit a script, there's a non-zero chance that Unity is just going to crash if it's playing? What do we have going on here? Audio sources. I know, lady. Do you love me again? Okimo says that they do it. They have the same problem all the time. It's annoying. Set the initial state of the playing variable, play. On enable, on disable, start, update. It's getting audio samples, audio sources. I just, maybe it's just the era I grew up, but I just love square waves and triangle waves. I will, turn on a retro, streaming service, just play 8-bit music and just jam out and work. I'm sure all the young kids around the office just look at me like I'm insane, where they're listening to Final Fantasy 25 soundtracks instead. Okay, let's poke around in the editor again and see if there's some... I don't necessarily have to have an output, do I? From my audio source. Oh, it's a good question. Gadget UK is talking about Pokey and Sid. Which is better? Fight. Okay, I gotta go back to this other project and see if I can figure out. I gotta figure out what this canvas button's hooked to. Audio source dot mute. Audio source. Audio source. Mute. Mute. Was it muted the entire time? You guys are probably screaming in the chat that it was the mute check box was clicked. Mute. Oh my god. Oh, isn't this just the case for like everything in engineering? Like sometimes you can just like do things really fast and it's like the most silly things can screw you over for hours. Doesn't quite match, does it? Doesn't quite match the retro soundtrack. Maybe if it wasn't so loud, it wouldn't be so offensive to me. Playing around with the Hi Peter, good to see you. Oh, Ulf, good to see you. Heading to bed. Thanks for hanging out. Oh, a ham radio guy. 73. SM6YEF. Well, we'll have to try to... I don't know. Boy, you're really far away. I'd probably have to be like 20 meters at daybreak to try to get to you. Try to find that kind of drone in the background. It's that. Yeah, this drone that was in the background like this just didn't seem to match the old square waves to me, so I'm gonna mute that. Bring up that kind of square wavy. Digital Underground said their granddad had a ham radio. I like ham radio a lot. It's fun. It's a great nerdy activity to do, especially if you have some friends in the hobby and you can like go out to the desert and, you know, try to build wacky electronics or antennas and do stuff. I think I can live with the oonce, oonce, oonce in the background. Chat, what do you think? Kind of like this? And let's play the game and see if it fits. It still kind of doesn't seem like it fits. Yeah. Fairman says maybe an old school scream tracker for background. Ironface thinks it works. It's not distracting. Here, I'm going to turn down kind of like the snare drums. Kind of keep the bass going. Yeah, Digital Underground says it might go better with Space Invaders. Oh no, shoot. I lost everything. So we had lead down, both leads down, and the pad down because it was just kind of droning, epic sounding. And then we had this bass kind of going. I wonder if I can go up here for the visualizer. Oh, here we go. Let's change some of these that are changing the background to enemy, extra life source, mushroom repair source. That'd be a good one to have in there. And shoot source. Audio manager. And I think this sphere waveform thing, we can actually maybe have this a little closer to the surface and extending through a tiny bit more. Let's see if that might be a little too close to the action. No, that works. Yeah, that's kind of nice. Railbirds, yeah, we should make a missile command. I think that would be pretty sweet. Okay, I like that. I'm just going to leave it alone for now. I mean, I don't know why I'm putting so much work into this since I can't really share it besides just friends and folks inside the company. Of course, you know, you can go find this GitHub and reproduce some of this if you want to make your own. Digital Underground is asking, uh, is it like looking into a portal when you use the Tilt 5 system? A little bit. Like you get infinite depth and then you have this big volume in front of you. It's like, because you know, there's so much surface area to the mat, you get like that much volume. And I'm sitting in like a low chair right here, so the, you know, I'm only, you know, like one arm's length head height above the board. You know, typically I'm sitting a little bit higher, but my dining room table has got these really low chairs. Okay, I want to do one last thing, and then I'm going to put a fork in this and call it good. So we had talked about doing a jump kind of feature where you could maybe jump over things. I want to try that. It's got 2D colliders, so I don't know if maybe I could turn collisions off when we do the jump. Gadget UK says, it's cool to see how easy it is to use Unity with Tilt 5. Yeah, it's drop dead simple. Unreal is very easy as well, although I'm not skilled at Unreal at all. But I see our team do Unreal stuff all the time. There's some big advantages to Unreal. Like you can make some very beautiful stuff with very little work. So our plugin is very similar between Unity and Unreal. I haven't got a chance to try Godot, so I'm going to start kind of getting myself up to speed and trying to pull back all that Python knowledge from years ago and see if I can do something. It does look like Godot is missing some of the things I love the most about our Unity and Unreal plugin. Like just the gizmos alone, being able to see where the game board is. If I turn gizmos off, is super handy. I'm sure it's super easy for them to integrate that. The main Stark, are you looking for Unreal partners right now? We're always looking for game developers to partner with. We do help developers that have interesting titles that kind of fit into what we need. So we can help you technically or also financially if it really is something that we're really looking for. So yes, reach out to our team, like support or something on the website, or you can reach out to me. ALU card says, I think Godot is more 2D stuff, ain't it? I'm like, no, it looks like there's a lot of 3D support in there. It looks really good. If from the videos I've been watching, it looks almost identical, just with some different naming of stuff and just some small mechanics that are different. It does look like a pain in the butt to get your environment set up to do C#, which I don't know, just because I've been doing C# for 1.5 years now, it's going to be a bummer to have to do something else. Yeah, Oddly says 4-point release brought a lot of improved 3D. Yeah, I was looking at Godot like super early on. Like one of our team members, he's like, we have to have Godot support, we have to have Godot support. And I looked at it, I'm like, whoa, it's super early. But that was kind of like pandemic time or pre-pandemic. Now it's like, holy cow, it's a full-fledged game engine. It's come a long ways. All right, let's play around with the blaster. What do I, Maybe I want to do a shield or something. I think jump would be cool, but might be problematic with what I've seen in there of how it's architected, but a shield might be cool. Okay. Let's try a shield first. I forget where. The way this is architected. Yeah, each one of the enemies is doing collision and making its decision if the blaster dies. That, yeah, here it is. So this is inside the flea. If it collides with the player or player 2, then it oh, this is what I could do. Inside of blaster, I could temporarily change the layer. Good night, Gadget UK. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, maybe that's what I can do. Probably from the blaster script, I can change its layer when... Yeah. Let's do this. If tilt 5, I'm going to get a button press. Input, try get button. What's the usage on this? So it's tilt 5, wand button 1. So I'm going to go for the 1 button down here for now. Hey, Mr. Ted. From Mr. Ted's from Poland. Great to see you. All right. One last what is it pop quiz. We're going crazy with pop quizzes before I do this. All right. Get your typing fingers ready. Part of this is going to be easy, but it's a two-part question. So one part of this is really easy, but you need to be able to answer what the two main pieces of this is. Hey, Laszlo. All right, you all ready? Okay. What is this bread slicer looking thing? And what is this right here on it? I imagine this is going to be pretty easy for some people. But we need to know what this is. Digital Underground. RAM. It's RAM. No. I guess you could mistake it for a core memory. Unreal Video says a capacitor. So that's close. A flux capacitor. It always comes back to flux capacitor. Oh, Railbird's got it. So variable capacitor. So let's see if I can turn it. So these plates, there's a stationary plate, and then there's a rotary plate, and the more they overlap, the higher the capacitance is. And then this is a gear reduction drive in here, so you can have precise adjustment. So back in the old days of radio, you needed some precision to move these variable capacitors small amounts, because with this many plates in here, just a very small turn here could turn into a lot of capacitance change. All right, let's get our shields in, and then we're going to call this done. Okay, so I'm getting a button input, tilt 5, button 1. We're going to do the tilt 5 dot controller index. We're going to do the right hand. Then we're going to do player index. Eh? I thought I had player index up here. I'm going to make this, I don't have player index on this one. What? Til5.player index. So I want this settable in the editor, so I'm making a public variable, the player index, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. Decan DC says, never seen something like that. Yeah, it's pretty old school stuff. You don't see this like variable capacitors like that anymore, because everything's digitally synthesized in radios. Oh, did I like the Fat Man cameo last night? Been trying for days to get him to join for a bit. Oh, thanks for doing that. It was really cool to hear from George Sanger, the Fat Man. For those of you that don't know, George Sanger is famous for video game music. And he wrote a book, which I think I have the book. One moment. This is George Sanger's book, The Fat Man. He was telling me the story of how he got the name The Fat Man, because he's nowhere near fat, right? It's because he makes fat sounds. And somebody in his life was like, you're so fat. And then for the music that he makes. And this is the book. This is terribly expensive last time I checked, so I feel very fortunate that he gave me a copy signed. Look at that, 2008, back when we were doing our live video streams. Super fun. That was a fun time. Unreal Video Duke, thank you. It's been interesting. Hope T5 will have more compatibility support for platforms like VRML and OpenXR, even consoles. Yeah, so there is some work for OpenXR, so you're going to probably see that very soon. It's not done by us, but it's I got a sample of it recently, so you're going to get access to that very soon. Consoles are probably a little trickier because Microsoft, PlayStation, they do what they want to do. Alright, so I'm going to make a player index variable that I can pass into my button press down here. So from the editor, I'll be able to set... what am I doing wrong here? I got the squigglies going. Oh. I have to get right here, I have to take the output out bool button 1 pressed. Someone's saying make a competitor to Second Life. I don't know. Second Life, I don't know, it did okay, but it's never really taken off. A lot of these metaversey things just aren't taking off. I really like our direction of let's just be the rock band or the guitar hero in the living room for mass market. You know, just bringing people together to have fun. All right, so I have to and that with button pressed to make sure that when the button is pressed, so when you do buttons in Tilt 5, you can just use the input system, which is fine, but I like to just go direct because that's what I learned first. But you can have button falling edge, button pressed, or button rising edge. So you can do edge detection, or you can just do continuous things. Yeah, oddly in Dado, it's, yeah, our main goal is how can we get AR or mixed reality devices into a lot of homes and schools and businesses without like overcomplicating things. You know, as much as I love a bunch of these systems out there, I think technically they're all really cool. They're just like they're too expensive, they're way too complicated, it's too big of a learning curve. And we've tried to make it where it's just like slip the glasses on, grab the wand and do something, or reach in and touch something with your hands. Yeah, Oddly says, I like Tilt 5. It isn't trying to take you out of your environment. That's the problem I always had when we were at Valve Software and we were doing all the VR stuff. I liked it. It was like something I liked to do for 10 or 15 minutes. But I could never see myself doing it for long, extended periods of time, just being like removed from the world. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are really looking for that immersion, and I appreciate that. But I think there's a lot of people out there like myself that just kind of want to be connected to their friends and their family and their environment around them. All right, so now we can detect the button being pressed. So what's the syntax for changing the layer that this is on? Is it transform dot set layer? All right, I give up. Ask ChatGPT. How do I change a game object's layer from a script when the script is attached to the game object? I mean, if I typed this into Google, chances are I would spend 10 minutes having to read stuff, and I think this will probably just tell me what I need to know. The main start. Just playing Beat Saber, I can feel the fall off mentally, not even physically, after 20 or 30 minutes. Yeah, Beat Saber is fun, but I'm kind of a lazy gamer. We just got this new game called Song Beater, which is kind of like a tabletop version of Beat Saber. And it's so zen. You just kind of kick back on the couch with the wand, and you're slicing through the notes, and it's got this kind of satisfying, like the notes come like bobbing towards you in the rhythm. It's really, really cool. ALU card says, tried VR once and got sick. Like, oh my goodness, it was terrible in the early days for sure, where all the game developers thought that they needed to take you on a roller coaster ride or a racing simulator, the worst stuff to put people in, like all of that motion. Digital Underground, Risk 2010 AD would be awesome on Tilt 5. Totally agree. All right, let's take a look at what ChatGPT came up with. Nice. So here's something that took me a while to understand in Unity. So layers have names, but they're actually a 32-bit value, and they're bit masks that get compared. And so you have to map them to a bit mask. So that's what this first part, int layer, layer mask, name to layer. So this is setting the bit for that layer. How do I want to do this? Let's have ChatGPT help again. Ironface says that they play or watch videos more than play one game. Beta says, I ought to give ChatGPT a try. It's unhelpful along with Reddit and bug reports. Agree. So many people grandstanding out there. Let's have ChatGPT to modify this. Let's see, modify this to save the original layer when a button is pressed, and then when released, pressed, save the original layer when the button is pressed, then change the layer to the new layer, and when the button is released, set the layer back. Actually, this might be a good use for edges, so we may go modify this because I can't do a continuous evaluation of the button press. So it's going to be like a falling edge to store the old layer and then change to the new layer, and then it's going to be a rising edge when the button's released to set it back to the original. Back to the original layer. Certainly, to change the layer when a button is pressed, then revert back to the original layer when the button is released. You can use input class. Okay. Variable to store the original layer. Variable to store the new layer. So at start, it's calculating out the original layer bit mask, the new layer bit mask, and then checking if the new layer exists. Digital Underground spent 2 days straight building stuff with logic gates in Fallout 4. That's fun. Okay, this is what it's going to do. Yeah, it is using, if get button down, sets the new layer, and if button up, I like it. All right. Let's migrate that over. I think we can just do this in awake. We don't have to do it in start like it did. Oh my gosh, we've been going a long time. Hopefully I'm not boring you all. I think I'm mostly out of pop quizzes. Grab all this goodness that's figuring out the layers and converting to a no, I would ALU card is talking about Kerbal. I'd love to see something like Kerbal on our system. It'd be so fun to just use the wand to build the rockets. Hey, Ben Cox. All right. Put all this stuff that figures out the layers. I'm going to have to go find a layer. And then we're going to have to change this to try get button down. So we get the edge, get button down. So the falling edge. We'll duplicate that with try get button up. So the rising edge when you release the button. It's so interesting looking at some other folks' code. I come from a chip design background, and I tend to use a lot of edge logic. And I've definitely helped some of the team members debug some of their stuff where they use level evaluation of like button presses where things just go completely wrong. Oh, thanks, Dado. I don't think I'm I don't think I'm a machine when it comes to coding. But I'm flattered you would think that. I gotta change some of these variables. Guess we got a conflict here. Because here I'm creating a new bool, and then down here I can't create the same name. Button 1 up. There we go. Digital Underground. I think AGI could be made by training GPT model on reading a simplified biological simulation of an animal's brain as a language and let it read and write to and from it. Ben Cox says, really glad you're doing something classic. I know you want cutting edge for Tilt 5, however, you kind of need to show how the system can be revolutionary. obviously fanboys of your hard work. Oh, thank you. Um, I don't know. I'm a believer. I got to hang out with Al Alcorn and Helen Bushnell and some of these legends in the game space, old timers. Now, no offense if you're watching Al, but one of the things that kind of stood out as they talked about tried and true gameplay is it doesn't matter how rich of a story or fancy the graphics is. It's got to be solid gameplay to start with. And I think that's like a game like Centipede is just a solid game mechanic. You kind of want to clean up your mushroom playfield. You got to avoid the bad guys. Got to clean up all those nasty bugs. And it kind of feeds on your internal needs that over millions of years you've evolved to put things in order. Digital Underground says, I would like to develop for Tilt 5. Easy peasy. Grab a group pack and all the tools are free. Yeah, Okimo says holograms make everything cooler. It's true. And make things more approachable. I've been surprised after all of these years working on Tilt 5 how many non-gamers I've gotten into enjoying our system because it's directly coupled to the game versus like game controllers where you might be 10 feet away from the game and it's totally decoupled. So I found non-gamers, you give them something that is just like point with the wand and pull the trigger, you can get them hooked. Anytime we have like non-gamers come by, which a lot of times I have to work with like venture capitalists and stuff that may not be gamers, anything that uses like joystick or multiple buttons, it's really hard to onboard them. And then the other thing that's really easy to onboard people is like the fact that we can have multiple headsets. So I can be in a headset sitting there with them and I can just point like, shoot the mushroom right there, that mushroom. And it makes it so much easier than like VR, like standing outside of a VR headset, like look down, no, look to the right, your other right, hit the red button, do you see the red button, or even a video game where it's like, use the joystick on the left and push up and your character will run up on the screen. It's just really decoupled and difficult. Anyway, I'm rambling. Let's get back to ChatGPT. So I added the Tilt 5 buttons, and now we will cut and paste this button down and button up code. And then I think if this works, if we can stop the collisions between the blaster and the enemies, then maybe each level that you go into, you get one shield, and I find a particle effect to put around the blaster to protect it. Bill's demo said, I miss when you used to do stuff with silicon. Just recently we did the Analog Aficionados dinner at our office, and I brought my diffusion furnace out, and we made some semiconductor, or we tried. We doped them wrong and none of them worked, but occasionally we do it. My challenge I have right now is I'm so busy that I can't do video editing anymore, and things like that are super challenging. It's not like I can sit and live stream it because it takes like 8 hours to make a transistor, and then it requires that I have to do a bunch of video editing. I have so much stuff sitting on hard drives right now that I've just never edited. Oops, I had some junk in here. Okay, when I release the button, it's going to put the original layer back. Okay, now I need to find a layer that will be safe to put our players onto. I just stick them on UI layer. It's kind of weird, but nothing is going to be colliding with the UI layer. Oh, the main star is talking about their daughter has severe autism. Can't wait to see how they react. I think they'll react really well. Kids absolutely love our system. We have a bunch of games. If you need any recommendations, just reach out to me and I can suggest some of the games. Like one really good application for folks that are you're trying to warm them up to the whole experience is Figment XR. So in Figment you can do a bunch of things, like even create games, but the really cool thing is it's got Tilt Brush built into it, and you just draw, and you can sit there and draw together, which is really fun. It's a great warm up to the system. Oh, it's a good question about haptics. Oh, Bill's talking about some of the videos that I did with making my own transparent conductive glass and some semiconductor stuff. That was fun. Did a bunch of OLED stuff. Okay, let's go back to the script and we'll move our player to the UI layer. I don't know if there's going to be any bad side effects of that, but it's a good start. Let's give it a try, see if I can pass through things. Oh, Oddly was showing some kids at the local community makerspace about Till 5, and they were very excited. That's cool. We have a little internal demo where we use the Unity kind of Lego assets. They had a deal with Lego. Probably between the ages of 8 and 14 or 13, you give someone our little Lego app and they'll play for hours. Okay, let's see. Oh, I have to go back to the editor and set the player index. Player index 1 for player 1, and player 2. I always forget to do that. Alright, in theory, if I hold the 1 button down, let me double check my code. If I hold the 1 button down, I should be able to just pass through everything without colliding. Knock on wood. Any bets if it's going to work? Alright, we got this cool bass going here. Well, I definitely can't. Can't get me, spider. Suck it, spider. Up, and I release, I can go back, and I can die. I really like this kind of like particle effect stuff just going above the board. It looks so cool. It's taken this game from a little bit kind of boring and drab to way more dynamic. So it's interesting. Oops, sorry, didn't mean to hit the mic. The weapon can't fire because the darts are colliding with the blaster now because it's on the UI layer. So I think I can fix that. So that's in the project settings. Physics 2D. So this is the dart. So it's this two-dimensional matrix here. So I can unclick UI, so the dart won't. Dart 2, which is player 2's dart, can't collide. And dart 1 now can't collide. Oh. No. This one. Digital Underground says, surprised how small Tilt 5 is compared to VR. Yeah. If you saw inside too, everything is really compact. We always laugh because, like, ooh, Oculus came out with a 2-lens VR system. It's like, whoo, 2 lenses. You know, our optical system to project this light field out is something like 14 lenses per side. It's like, as simple as it looks, it's like crazy complicated compared to the VR systems. And that's why it's so comfortable to look through, is it also generates a pseudo light field so your eyes can focus at different depths from your eyes, and because of the reflector's gain, it allows this kind of pseudo light field. So if you have an object really close to your eyes, you can focus on it and everything in the background goes out of focus properly, and then vice versa. Hey, the Matthew. Hello, I'm a fan of your work from Transistors to Now. I didn't think that I could get this chance to thank you other than now. So I just want to say you're great. Thank you. Thank you. If you ever get a chance to come to one of the shows, love hanging out with folks. I was just at the Vintage Computer Festival Midwest, which was amazing. I got to hang out with so many people, other YouTubers like Adrian's Digital Basement and LGR and the Taylor and Amy show. It was super fun, and of course we were just all hanging out together. Sometimes I get overseas as well. I don't know where you're based. Alright, let's see if I can fire when I'm in shield mode. Yeah, I got my... Yeah, now I can fire. Let's see if I still... I'm still properly colliding with things, except for the bad guys. Yeah, LGR is fun. Alright, we're close. We're close. So, what should we do for a shield around the player to make it clear that the shield is there? I also need to do some kind of countdown timer that gives you only like 10 seconds worth of shields each time you respawn. Oh, Digital Underground, Command and Conquer would be great on the system. I agree. My favorite game from like the mid to late 90s. I used to have a chain of retail computer stores, and we would set up computers with null modem cables and just play that until like middle of the night. Yeah, Ben Cox is talking about how our system's more like a display instead of just like a display really close to your eyes with a collimating lens that forces you to focus out to infinity. It's just not natural for your eyes to converge in at objects closer and then have to focus way out into the distance. Dune 2. Bubble force field. I wonder... I bet I have something in my assets. There's probably some kind of particle effect. Let's see. This is all the stuff that I bought or got free. Ooh, I landed right on one. 100 special skills effect pack. All right. It looks like there's all kinds of things that we might be able to just stick onto the player and then just enable when we're in force field mode. May have to find some sound too to add to it. Again, I don't know why I'm spending so much time on this, but I think it's turning out nice. And I'm getting close to finishing my first Mai Tai. Okamo says, I've been planning an RTS for Tilt 5, but with all this Unity stuff happening, who knows? Oh, screw you, Unity. We need a good RTS. Not too long ago, we launched a really fun adventure game called Headland. If you want to find something that's kind of Zelda-like, it's pretty fun. We've been having a lot of fun with that. It's a nice single-player experience. Just considering the number of inbounds and like folks that we're supporting on the technical side, I'm pretty excited. There's a lot of content that's coming, gaming and non-gaming. Like, we're starting to get to the point where we need to add more personnel to just support the developers that are creating things. Okay, Mose. I never said it would be good. Oh. I'm sure it'll be fantastic. Just like this steaming pile that I just created over the weekend. Okay. Well, that was good. I didn't shut down Unity this time when I imported a package. Let's make sure that nothing's broken. Oh, thanks, Stato. Yeah, we're trying to grow at a reasonable rate. My previous startup, we had investors that are like, you've got to scale up really fast, and they made us burn through all of our money super fast before we even had our first product out. And it's like, a product this complicated, you can't rush it. I mean, every single month we're doing like these major bug fixes, because at some point you have to ship things, so we had to push it out the door. So I can't wait. Any moment now. I'm working with revision 1.4 of the drivers. So the last 2 weeks it's like, oh, we're almost there, we're almost there. This one is one of our biggest improvements on drivers in a long time. Oh, thanks, Ben. I mean, we're not Nintendo yet. We still have a ways to go. We're still just a team of less than 20 people, which is scary, even 20 people. It's just that right size for a company where you know everybody, and there's, everyone's like, feels like they have a voice. I love that. Yeah, oddly. Investors know nothing. Oh, the stories I could tell you. If we go all the way and we become a nice, solid company someday, there's so many stories I could share. But right now I have to play the game and not be too critical. Digital Underground Hero Quest would be really cool on it. Agreed. Yeah, oddly, that's right. 20 people is really nice. I worked at a lot of startups, and there's like these kind of pain points. There's like between 25 and 30, it's kind of a small pain point, maybe up to 50. You kind of lose your culture at that point. It's really painful. Okay, we're going to find a particle effect for our shield. Where special skills pack. Storm tornado, black hole, orbital strike, charge, nuke, blood flood. Guardian shield, that sounds promising. Ooh. That kind of looks like a shield. Guard shield. So it's got all these pieces. Unfortunately, I don't think I can play them all at once. Oh, yes, I can. Let's give it a try. Dato says, I work in mining and software, and we're a multinational company based in Australia, and somehow they've managed to maintain a personal feel regardless. That's cool. Digital Underground, Rock'em Sock'em. So funny how often that comes up. I think it would be good. Okay, so I will drop this on Blaster. And Blaster 2. And then we can hook it up to the script in a second and see, and when you pull the trigger, it can run. Oh. That's a little big. Yeah, we need a little work on that. Oh, this is a bummer. I can't see it inside the... Now, this is something I've noticed with Unity. Not all particle effects can be scaled. Yeah, it is kind of a shield for the entire... Oops, I was on the wrong one. Gotta do player ones. It's gonna need like a 90-degree rotate too. Digital Underground asks if all the dots need to be in the field view. No, you only need like, just a handful. In fact, you can put your arms all over the dots and stuff and still track. There's a mathematical ratio between all these dots, and called a collinear or something. All of our math wizards came up with, and I think there's also a triangular mathematical ratio between them. And so the headset just needs to find enough of them that I can identify, you know, what game board it is, because there's different game boards. We have big ones and small ones. And then also kind of like the orientation, like where's north. And usually you need to see a couple more dots when you bootstrap, and then once it's up and running, you can cover almost, you know, a lot of the dots and it still tracks. So you can easily have people putting their hands all over the board and have no problem. I'm kind of shocked at how well it works, because it used to not be that good. They just our team keeps making it better. Oh, good. I can shrink it down. Oh, that's almost perfect. Now I just need to rotate it 90 the correct direction. Get away from the spider. Oh, it kind of fades out. Interesting. I think that'll be fine, because alright, I'm gonna shotgun an angle in here. Okamo said I might be able to change the size of the particle in the prefab. Oh, the wrong 90. That's looking good though. I think once I get it flipped the right 90 degrees, we're going to be in good shape. If I wanted to do this right, I'd probably, you know, want to modify the particle system so it fades in and out properly. It's going to be, I'm just not going to do it today, but it's just going to pop into existence. Hi Ian. No robotic voice. Not like the old FMCG days. Good to see you. What's funny is Mixcast actually looks far more washed out than the actual game does in this instance. I got it. It's a little silly because it's got this like base around it. I think I saw inside the particle effect that there was a. Here, I'm gonna make player 2 negative 90 degrees too. I think there was like. Right now it's kind of funny. It's got this dome over the top of you, and then it's got this flare at the bottom, which looks a little silly because there's no ground. All right, Mai Tai 1 down. It's the best way to spend my Sunday hanging out with all the nerdly folks on live stream. It's been super fun. I haven't done this in so many years. All right. So ring 1 and ring. I think I just need to get rid of ring 1 and ring 2. So just turn those off. And maybe it won't look as silly. Oh, Dado, 3 hours, 20 minutes. I really thought that, you know, I could probably port this little Centipede game over in one streaming session, and now we're like 5 hours into it. Oh yeah, that's perfect. The little shield. That looks cool. Alright, now one piece of logic, and I think we can be done with this, and we can just say, she's done. So, we need to make a variable inside a blaster. I always forget the proper way to do time. Thanks, Ben. All right, let's enslave ChatGPT to do something. Okay. Generate a script that has two functions. The first function resets a timer. I don't need a function for that. Generate a function that decrements a counter to 0 over a fixed time scale. I think that's all I need. It's all this delta time. I never remember the exact. No, it's doing a coroutine. So there it is. You got to prompt it right. So coroutines just kind of run in the background. Oh, cool, Railbird. Let me know if when you get the kit, and we should do some live streams where we have folks dial in and talk about what they're doing or show off what they're doing. Generate a script that decrements a counter for every second a button is pressed until the counter reaches 0. Yeah, oddly, there's so many people working on interesting things that, if you're not in the Discord, or if they're not in the Discord, you don't hear about it. For me, I don't hang out in the Discord, so I hear it secondhand through our team. I mean, Discord's not for everybody, so maybe we can have another way for people to share, kind of maybe like Lady Ada's show and tell. Okay, let's take a look at this. Counter starts off at 100. When the button's pressed, timer's incremented. If timer is greater than time between increments. That seems too complicated. Make a counter that counts down from a user defined start point at 1 second intervals. When a button is pressed. I know there's a clean way to do this. Okay, you can set up a Unity script that allows user to find start point for the counter. Then use a bool flag to check if the button has been pressed. Once pressed, the counter will start decrementing at 1 second until it reaches 0. Here, I'm just going to write my own. Had enough. You're letting me down. This is what I couldn't remember, is time.delta time. Alright. We're going to modify this. We're going to do a level detect, a low button press detect. And then we're going to start incrementing this timer, and then when it reaches the terminal count or greater, then we're going to disable the ability of the shield to work. So this is the try get button. We're going to make this try get button. This will be when the button is pressed. Button 1 down. We'll start button 1 down. And so this timer, every time a new level or you die or something, timer will get reset back to 0. So we're just going to count the amount of time that the button is held down. I'm going to make this public so I can make sure that I didn't goof it up. Timer. So let's see. Every time we respawn, here's the function for respawn. I'm going to reset that timer to 0. Okay. Let's just test that, make sure I'm not tipsy on my Mai Tai and not thinking about this right. I'm going to have to add some logic to inhibit the button down, and also when the timer has hit the terminal count, I have to force the original collision layer to go back. So there's 2 pieces of little logic I have to add here. Yeah, Hypo is correct. Every one of the Tilt 5 systems can be used as a dev kit. So you can just get any of the consumer systems and start developing for free. Let's see. Jeffrey says, Jerry, also, Visual Studio has cooperative coding features built in. I haven't used it yet, but I have VS Pro on my laptop. Boy, that'd be kind of interesting to try. I mean, it took me a little while to get used to like Google collaborative tools. It can be somewhat frustrating at times. I also, for like 3 months now, I've been paying for like Copilot for Visual Studio Code here, and I went to the like set it up page and it was more than like 2 steps, and I'm like, I'll do it later, and I still haven't. So it would be interesting to try using some AI for some coding assistance. Recube Game says, then use the bool in update to run counter with time delta time. Yeah, I could do that with a bool. I just want the time that it's down, so I think right now if I hold the button down, that time is going to start going up. And I could do another test after this if the time has exceeded, you know, the terminal count. Set a bool, or I could just be sloppy and just integrate both comparisons. Oh, I need to change this. Wait, did I type this all wrong? Oh. This is... labels are wrong here. So this is button down event. So this is an edge detect. Down here, this is button up event. This is button held. I'm surprised I didn't botch it before that it worked. Alright, button goes down, we change the layer, we can't have the collisions. Button's held, our counter's going up. We release the button, we set our collision layers back. Perfect, it's totally gonna work. Guaranteed. Wink, wink. Alright, let's see if I got this right, where our timer's going up at a reasonable, like, time. There's our timer right here. I think this is running all the time. So if I hold... Oh, okay, I have to start the game. Alright, timer's going up at a reasonable rate. What do you... How long, how generous should we be with the shields? How many seconds do we let the player have a shield? 5 seconds? Hypo. Wow, I can't even parse that. I realize there's canon about pattern buffers. We're talking about Star Trek. But my feeling is that the ST transporter connects casualties through some subspace extra-dimensional shenanigans, so no death reconstruction events. Oh, I'm glad that I planted a bug in you, that you had to think about that for a while. Hypo says, the pattern buffers would then essentially be the signal that is you going through the indefinite delay line. All right, yeah, and that ties in perfectly with our Q&A session of what is this, delay lines. So, Digital Underground says 5 seconds is good. DCAN-DC says 10 seconds minus remaining lives. Oh, that's math. Lasse says 3 seconds plus another random 1-2 seconds just to be mean. That's interesting. So you just never know? Man, you're brutal. Recube games, Heisenberg compensators offline. Alright, let's start with 5 seconds. It's kinda in that. Okay. So anything greater than 5 seconds, we're going to alright, let's go up here. Bool. Stop shield equals false. And then we'll override it if timer is greater than equal to, well, greater than, we'll give you the full 5 seconds, then 5 seconds. We'll overwrite we will stop the shields. Oh, thank you, Microsoft, for helping me auto-complete that to something ridiculous. Jeffrey says, maybe related, but I recently saw that they figured out how to warp speed. Doesn't break the physics of nothing can be faster than light. You can make vacuum surrounding the object move. Gotta put my tinfoil hat on that one. Alright, so I don't want to go in here. If we are not stopping the shields, we can get in here and enable our shields. Here we're figuring out our time. We don't have to do anything there. I think I need a bracket here because I want to evaluate if the button's being pressed first, or if we're stopping the shields, we're just going to force it back to the original collision layer. All right, let's go for gold. I'm going to add a public, I'm going to pull in that. Oh boy, the kitties get food. The automatic food feeder goes. Of course, they're so frustrated today. We have some sugar ants that found their way into the kitchen and they're all over. Oh, poor Nikki. Look at all that food there, but you can't get to it because the sugar ants found your food. Oh, poor Nikki. Poor Nikki is going to get so skinny. Look at that. The belly. It's just going to... He's going to wither away. So I'm sorry about the sugar ants. We have an ant bait there. It'll kill him. Okay. He's looking at his food, so sad. Poor kitty. He's going to starve. Where was I? Oh, I'm going to pull in the game object, which is our cool little dome. On awake, I want to set active to this, false, turn it off. If the shield is, alright, this is when we push the button, if we can get to it, then the shield is on. True. Oh, this is so dirty because it's just going to pop into existence. Oh, McFortner says a ring of Vaseline around the base of the feeder will keep the ants out. Oh. Railbirds, that's Nicola, our little boy, little sweetheart. Okay, so shields are on when we push the button down, and we're allowed to. And then we will turn them off here. Totally gonna work. I love that idea of the Vaseline. That's, of course, that little idiot would probably enjoy licking the Vaseline because he's a dummy. He's a bag full of rocks in his head, but I love him so much. Alright, let's go back to the editor and let's hook up our special effects for both player 1 and 2. I think it'll work. All right. Oh, darn it. Oh, it's nice. The particle effect has it has a nice fade in, so that's kind of nice. And I've hit our bug where if the wand sits on the table without the glasses seeing them, can't bootstrap, so I gotta restart. You guys get to see all of our dirty laundry. Could be that I'm shaking my head violently when it's trying to bootstrap the wand too. There it is. Alright, let's go big screen for the big reveal. I wish that actually showed better what it looks like. This looks absolutely beautiful in here. Alright, let's play. Oh, now I don't have a shield. No more shield. Oh, and I died. We did it! We did it! Let me plug in another pair of glasses and make sure it works on the other one. Wow, I don't know, has anyone stayed on the stream the entire time? This has been a long session. I'm pretty happy with this. This is quite playable and fun. We gotta do, because I don't have my microphone stands, we gotta do the double stack. Ship it, ship it! That's right. Put a fork in it, it's done. If you ever come by the Till 5 offices, we can play this. Digital Underground showed up late. Alright, got both wands. Seems like both shields are working. Yep, they both run out. Great. Steve says remembers playing this at the arcade. I was so hooked on this in the arcade, one of my favorite games, and I'm super pleased now I can play it on Till 5 anytime. Because I'd say like with the wand, this is on par with the trackball, probably easier than the trackball to be honest. But trying to play Centipede with the joystick is just frustrating. I just hate it. I've had no good alternate way to play Centipede. And then I got one of these things off Amazon. It was supposed to be like trackball joysticks, like arcade emulation box, and I'm like super excited. It had a fairly modern Raspberry Pi in it. And the one game that sucks the most was Centipede. Even though it had a trackball, it was so latent, it had so much latency that you couldn't really play it. So anyway, that's cool. It looks like we got it. I should actually build it just once and make sure I can build a... Digital Underground says, yeah, I didn't realize you stream on the internet. Oops, this got in my way. I've been a fan since the C64 stick you made. Thank you. That was a fun project. Yeah, you know, someone just mentioned Digital Underground. There was a Windows 3.1 collection that had Centipede that you could use the mouse for. Just to be honest, I've never played it with a mouse, so... let me try the build real quick. Let me dig down through my file system. Our kittens have buttons they can press for treats and playtime. And they're over there hitting the treats button. Probably because they can't get to their automatic feeder. Alright. Cool. Nice. Really exciting. All right. Thanks everyone for hanging out. Took a little longer than I expected, but we got her done. Next up, I don't know if I'll have energy tonight, but I might. I need to really work on the zombie game. Everyone was kind of hoping I'd get it done before I went to Taiwan, and somehow I was getting a little bored of it. I wanted to do this instead. All right, bye everyone.